Oh, yeah. Faster. LSU. I said, they ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU, huh? They ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU. We the best in the league if you looking for talent. LSU going hard, but we beat Alabama, then we going out to Florida. Drown the Gators, everybody getting bucked when we step in the stadium. This the LSU anthem, you know it's a hit. You don't know another rapper two-step like this. See me screaming out the window, yelling purple and gold. I'm an LSU fan, girl, you know how we roll now. Back and back it on up, hey. 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 Way down in the back.
Hey, we are live here in the Tigers Avenue. Friday night, super regional weekend. Going to be a great show. Going to be previewing, obviously, this weekend full of super regional action. More specifically, the LSU Tigers versus the Kentucky Wildcats. We'll be hosting them. This super regional, obviously, LSU. Being a top 8 national seed, has earned themselves a spot as a host in the Supers. Gonna freaking love it. We're going to talk some more about that environment and what it's going to be like, and some things that Jay Johnson has done to enhance that environment. So lots to talk about in terms of previewing it. I think we need to discuss a little bit about how the last series with Kentucky went in Baton Rouge in lieu of them coming to play LSU again in BR. We'll look at some TA tools for success. What does LSU need to do against the Wildcats this weekend to be successful and to move on into Omaha? And then, as we told you in the last show, we'd be giving you our final predictions for all the super regional spots. And we'll be doing that to wrap up the show. It's going to be a great show. Appreciate y'all joining in. I already see Robert is hopping in here, faithful as always. Robert, I saw some of your 8 Omaha predictions earlier on Twitter. So I don't have my phone with me right now to pull it up and look at it, but you'll have to remind us of your predictions, and we'll kind of compare and contrast since you're already in here. When we get to that, we can do that. We'd love to see y'all's predictions and kind of talk back and forth about that. I think, Zach, we have a little bit of help already. I mean, obviously one game is completed, and there's one that's about to complete, if not already completed, between TCU and Indiana State.
Yeah.
And one is on a rain delay or lightning delay, whatever you want to call it.
Surprise.
Yes. And we'll talk about that with LSU as well, because weather could play in effect to this weekend as well. And so we'll discuss that. Hopefully not. Hopefully the weather does not affect this weekend. And if it does, it doesn't affect any, pitching rotation or pull somebody out prematurely. So, Zach, plenty to talk about tonight. It's going to be a great show. Let's get right into it, Zach. Super regional preview, LSU Tigers, Kentucky Wildcats in the box. First initial thoughts when Kentucky beat Indiana and you knew the Wildcats are the team to beat. What were your thoughts?
I mean, initially, I really kind of wanted to play Indiana. 1, because different opponent.
Okay.
2, because they're obviously a lesser opponent on paper. 3, because Kentucky's already seen you. And so, anytime a team gets to see another team twice, they're going to have you, especially for hitters against pitchers. It's going to be advantage on the hitters, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, that also goes for LSU as well, right? So that's kind of the reason that I preferred to, see Indiana. But ultimately, it ends up being Kentucky. I'm totally fine with it because you're at home. It's super regional. It is going to be Dylan Cruz, Trey Morgan, probably Jordan Thompson's, Gavin Dugas, Cade Beloso. A lot of guys on this year's team. It's going to be their last time to play in Baton Rouge at Alex Box Stadium.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a really exciting super regional, but it's going to be also kind of sad, whether either way, whether they advance and go to Omaha or whether they lose and are going home. Like, it's going to be kind of a sad ending.
Bittersweet.
Yeah, it's going to be bittersweet no matter what. So I'm really excited about this weekend. I'm really excited about tomorrow. I wish it was more of a prime time, I guess, start, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. start, because you're not having to worry about any other teams that are in a regional with you. It's just you two. So, to end up getting the 2 p.m. slot time, I was kind of disappointed to see that. But nonetheless, Paul Skeens is on the mound, so I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, I mean, I got to agree with you. I wanted Indiana just for the sake of it being a different opponent. If you wanted my choice out of that regional, I really wanted West Virginia. I thought that would have been a really awesome matchup. But obviously, they really underperformed from what everybody had predicted, honestly.
Yeah.
And Indiana was the one who shined in that regional outside of Kentucky. What's up, Brian? Appreciate you joining in here. I see Tyler Townsend's in here. Troy Shockley, I think he's returning from the last show as well. Appreciate y'all hopping in. I wanted West Virginia, but that's okay. I'll take Kentucky. Considering we've played Kentucky already this year, we took 2 out of 3. We did so in Baton Rouge. You kind of like that. Like, okay, we've done this before. We've seen this before. And we've made some mistakes in this series, and it was really close and it was tight at times in this series. So, we got it scouted better. I mean, just as much as you like, you can say, well, you're replaying a team, so it's going to be tough because they've scouted you. You've seen them before. Same is true for you, right? So I like that advantage. I'm honestly really confident going into this weekend after this past weekend and what we saw. I'm pumped to see how we play against Kentucky the second go round. And honestly, here's the reality, guys. And I'm not saying we're just going to blow them out by any means. Like, I'm not saying it, so don't take that the wrong way. But look, the reality with Kentucky is they darn near blew their hosting chance at the end of the season. I mean, they were great to start the season and even great to start in conference play, but their last 4 weeks in conference play heading into the postseason was not pretty. Was not pretty at all. And if I remember correctly, they were immediately eliminated in the SEC tournament. Am I correct in saying that?
I believe you are.
So, yeah. And so they're kind of scuffling a little bit, and they had to fight their way out of their regional.
I think A&M beat them.
I think so. I think you're right. So, I think Kentucky, when we played them, was really at their best because when we played them, they were top 10 in the country. I think, if I remember correctly, they were number 10 in the country when we played them, and they were playing really well, and they played LSU really well.
Yeah.
Haven't seen that, though, lately from Kentucky, that team that was early on. So I'm really confident in the fact that, they're really not playing like they were earlier in the season here late, and it almost cost them their hosting. They were able to do enough because of their strength of schedule and some of the games they won early on. Their RPI was still 2 in the country, and that's what ultimately solidified them as a host because their RPI was excellent. Yeah. In reality, I think Oregon State would have been a better host and honestly was a tougher team than I think Kentucky will prove to be. They could prove me wrong this weekend, but I think Oregon State was a tougher matchup than what we're going to get out of Kentucky this weekend, in all honesty.
We'll see.
Oregon State probably would have stole that hosting bid. It may have not been from Kentucky, but had Oregon State not gone 0-2 in the Pac-12 tournament, they darn well probably would have hosted.
Over probably one of the SEC teams.
Correct, like South Carolina, most likely is Kentucky, what I would have potentially Kentucky or Alabama or something like that. I think Alabama had solidified themselves. I really think Alabama at 16 was low, considering how they've been playing lately. I feel like that was kind of a jab at them, not in a bad way, but I feel like that they kind of got snubbed getting the 16 seed. Anyways, but I think I'm really confident when I first realized, okay, it's going to be Kentucky. I'm pretty confident in going into this weekend. Zach, so let's talk a little bit about the previous time LSU played Kentucky. Like we've kind of alluded to already, they played LSU really stinking well. And if you look at the numbers, they're probably one of the best teams to touch up Paul Skeens all season long. They had 7 hits on Paul Skeens, 5 runs. Ultimately, Paul Skeens still, does what Paul Skeens does, and he got 13 strikeouts on that night, and we still got the win, and we ruled them. So
I think a big part of that was the score, because you jumped on Kentucky a lot, really early, and so I think a big part of that was, Paul went into, all right, let's throw strikes. Like, we're just going to throw strikes. And you saw that because there was a lot of times that he was throwing strikes that were just kind of down the middle, and Kentucky hitters were, they were touching it up. He was just trying to get, ground ball, fly ball outs, make quick work of Kentucky. And, unfortunately for LSU, but fortunately for Kentucky, they were able to make him pay for that. And then, you saw kind of at the end of that game, they started chirping a little bit at Paul Skeens. And he then K'd the last 5 batters he faced. So I understand he got touched up a little bit that game, but I think most of that was due to the fact that LSU was absolutely pounding Kentucky on the scoreboard. So but you are correct. Outside of game 1, and I know a lot of people say, "Oh, Skeens had," I really just think it was because of how much LSU was scoring that he just decided to try and just throw strikes in there. Like, he wasn't, being regular Paul Skeens. He wasn't doing his regular routine, his regular pitch sequences, stuff like that. It was just still get strikes across the plate. He still struck out 13 regardless. So, but outside of game 1, it was really close. I mean, obviously, to win the series, you had a very, very tight game, 7-6, that ultimately, you had to load the bases. They loaded the bases with Dylan Cruz in game 3, and you had a freshman on the mound. The Alex Box was rocking, and he ends up, hit by pitch on Tommy White, and that's how you win the game. Game 2, as we all remember, was when Joe Bear dropped the fly ball near the foul line. That ultimately was the undoing for LSU in game 2. You look at both of those games, and you look at game 2, and you're like, LSU fans say, man, we really could have swept. But you also look at, Kentucky fans could look at game 3 and say, man, we were 1 run away, and if we don't, hit a batter, maybe we get out of that, maybe we win the series. So it was a very tightly contested contest outside of game 1. But as you said, Reagan, which I'm interested to see, I mean, yes, this team obviously made the tournament. Yes, this team won the regional, but it seems like they were a lot better whenever LSU faced them back in, I think it was April or whenever it was. Is this – but, again, this team's different. The team's different now. Both teams are. Kentucky, whenever they saw LSU back in April, Travinsky and Pearson was, but Travinsky and even Kay Beloso a little bit, they weren't really a massive part of the lineup like they are now.
Not at all.
So the lineup was shaken up a little bit different, has been shaken. And for Kentucky, the pitchers that
maybe
LSU
even
faced,
Joe Bear. You may have been still seeing
maybe I can't remember exactly, but and with Kentucky, the pitching has changed a lot, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, it's going to be very interesting, with both teams kind of dealing with that. And I mean, but that's an advantage / disadvantage for both teams. Advantage for them, with the other team not seeing what they now have, and then disadvantage for the teams facing the opponent that you haven't seen. Whether it's LSU not seeing a certain pitcher that's really hot right now back in April, or whether it's Kentucky seeing Hayden Travinski, who's just on fire right now. So either way, there's going to be advantages and disadvantages that are different from the last time you faced each other.
Yeah. And here's another thing, and Danny Girl has already kind of mentioned this in the comments there. If you want to go ahead and throw that up, and Kentucky plays this differently than most are today. I mean, right now, this season has been such a offensive favored season in terms of home runs and runs scored. I mean, record-breaking year in terms of that. I mean, we are on pace to break a lot of records in terms of home runs and runs scored, in all of college baseball, not just LSU. So Kentucky being the way they play is not par for the course of this season across the board. They play the small ball a lot. They get them on, get them over, get them in. They like to lay a bunt down all the time. For example, they're like prime way of playing against Indiana kind of played out. They got one on. They laid a bunt down. They ended up with that bunt getting on safely, and it was first and second, no outs, and then they got walked, and then they had 2 sacrifice flies, bases loaded, no outs, to score 2 runs early in that game. Like, that is their game plan. That is how they play. They get walked, bunt on, sacrifice bunt, sack fly to get the runs in. Like, very dink and dunk, small ball-esque game, and they're very good at it because they're fast, and that's the brand of baseball that they have put out there. Mingione has really hit the transfer portal hard, brought in a lot of veteran players in the offseason, and brought in a lot of speedsters to be able to put together this type of offense, this type of team to run it the way they have. And it's been successful at times. And so that's what they're still going to do. And one of the concerns is, can LSU field it well? And, we've struggled. I don't like to point people out, specifically, but, Tommy White has struggled, in terms of picking the bunt up and making a solid throw at times. Yeah. And so I don't know. I feel like you're going to have to somehow make them swing. You're going to have to put them in a situation to make them swing. And I feel like that is, you're going to have to jump out on them early. To make them have to swing and not play their game. It's tough, but I mean, we'll see how the defense plays. I think LSU's offense is far good enough to overcome what they can do with their small ball game. Honestly, I mean, if we do what we did this past weekend, mashing the ball the way we did, I think Kentucky's going to be in some trouble in terms of their gameplay with the small ball. Yeah. So, I don't know, Zach. How do you think they approach that? And does Kentucky kind of stick with that game plan going into this? I mean, how do we approach that? Because the defense is kind of lacking.
I do think Kentucky sticks with that game plan. I mean, that's been their identity all year.
Oh, and some of the questions have been: do you put Milazzo at catcher and DH Travinski? I've seen that some go floating around too. Like, how do you handle?
See, that is a very good conversation because of how Hayden struggled this past weekend in the regional with a lot of pass balls. I got to imagine that they have worked with him a lot. I just don't know right now if you can justify taking his bat out of the lineup. I mean, if you do that, you're also going to be, let's say you're like, okay, we're going to keep him in the lineup, but we don't want him at catcher. So you insert Milazzo. Okay, who's Milazzo going to replace? Probably Pearson, right? Who last weekend was extremely clutch for you.
Yeah.
So you're going to take that bat out of the lineup now? Like,
essentially, you would have to put Travinski at DH, put Beloso at first, stick Trey out in left field, and you're bumping Pearson off if you put Milazzo in.
You're bumping Pearson or you're bumping Joe Bear, either one. But you're not – to me, Jay Johnson's not going to do that right. Like, I just don't feel like he is going to take out one of those bats out of the lineup right now because of how hot they're hitting.
And I agree.
This team the entire year has been outscore. That's why you are here right now at the Super Regionals. In the same way that Kentucky's not going to change their identity, the reason that they are where they are at right now in the Super Regionals because they have stuck with their identity. And I think LSU is going to do the same. The identity for LSU has been to outscore their opponents. This team goes as the offense goes. So in the most critical time of the year when you have to win 2 and make it to Omaha, why would you put a more defensive lineup out there? I just don't think he think he does that because you're not going to take Hayden Travinski out of the lineup right now. It'd be I think fans would go ballistic if you did that. To me, that would be more of a mistake than pitching Paul Skeens game 1 like you did this past weekend. I shouldn't say mistake. It would be more. It
turned out not to be a mistake.
It'd be more questionable to me because you're just not. Pearson Jobert, I can maybe understand a little bit more, but even then, like I just don't see how you're going to take any of those guys out of the lineup right now. I think Jay Johnson, and I said it in the SEC whenever they were in the SEC tournament. Jay Johnson showed his cards in the SEC tournament. I think that's who you're going to see throughout the rest of this postseason, and that's exactly what happened this past regional. Is you saw Travinski catch the entire time. You saw Pearson and Lev. You saw Braden and Wright, and I fully believe that that's what they're going to stick with. So, but then again, I fully expected Paul Skeens to pitch game 2, and we saw what Jay did then. So. He may decide to change something up and do something different. Yeah. I'm interested to see though on Saturday tomorrow if they kind of take the approach like that against Tulane, and especially considering what you did last time against Kentucky with Paul Skeens on the mound. Obviously, last time you just beat them like a drum. You scored 16 runs. It was a complete bludgeoning of offense from LSU. So is it more of that, or do you take the Tulane approach that they did in the regional and you try to try to do the same thing that they do, small ball them? Because that's what you did against Tulane. You knew Paul Skeens was going to shove. You know he was only going to give up 1 to 2 runs, and so the LSU did what they had to do in order just to get runs to beat Tulane because you knew what Paul Skeens was going to do. I fully believe that we're going to see a different Paul Skeens than we did against Kentucky last time. Obviously, last time, people were like, oh, it might be his worst outing, that or Arkansas in the SEC tournament. But listen, I think Paul Skeens is locked in right now. I think he also probably still has that in the back of his mind. Kentucky, that Kentucky was one of the teams that touched him up a little bit. He probably also remembers the chirping a little bit.
Yeah.
I think he's going to come in, he's going to shove, and Kentucky's not going to have any answer. I hope that is the case. I hope, knock on wood, I hope it's not the opposite. But game 1, man, I really see it going LSU's way no matter what. So I'm just interested to see what Jay Johnson does offensively.
We need to talk about that a little bit, Zach.
Because I still think everything else is going to be the same. I still think Paul Skeens is going to shove, and I still think Kentucky's going to try to small ball you to death.
So that's what we need to talk about. I fully believe Paul Skeens will pitch game 1, but with the weather the way it looks, you definitely don't want to get in a situation where you got to pull Paul Skeens.
No, but here's the thing: I did recently just look at the weather. There's no rain forecasted right now from your start time at 2 p.m. And I'm going as far back. It'll let me go back as far as 6 p.m. tomorrow. There's no rain in your forecast. There is rain early. There is rain tonight that is forecasted. Thunderstorms that are forecasted up until 11 p.m. After that, it should be clear skies. So, and there is a 30% chance of rain tomorrow, but apparently it's going to be later in the day. So, I think we're going to be good. I think we're going to be clear for tomorrow. I'm no meteorologist or anything like that, But as far as I can tell, looks like for game time we're gonna be good. But anyways,
I also saw that Jay, I think, had made a comment. I think it was Jock Doucette put this out. That Jay had made a comment that what happened last Sunday, where they started the game and then stopped for several hours, that absolutely should not and will not happen this weekend. I don't want to be misquoting, but I think that's what he said, around something along those lines. So I think that Jay Johnson has been looking at this and is not going to allow Paul Skeens' outing be ruined.
No, definitely not.
And if there's any chance of it, I think he's going to push for a delay or pretty heavily or something like that.
So Ryan said Saturday evening and early Sunday morning is where the rain is forecasted. So tomorrow at 2, you shouldn't have any issues.
And we don't even know the start time currently. We don't know the start time for Sunday or Monday if necessary. So hopefully the weather will be fine and we won't have to worry about that. But I think Jay Johnson is fully prepared for it and if it is a threat, I think that Jay is well prepared to not allow what happened last Sunday and what happened against South Carolina with Paul Skeens to happen. Zach, last thing, kind of previewing this regional, we need to talk about pitching and what Jay Johnson has done to make this an even better environment. Pitching in terms of Kentucky, at least. So Kentucky, last time out, people were saying they moved their ace. Kentucky does not really genuinely, truly have a Friday night ace. They don't.
I mean, their ace is their ace. If you want to say that who their ace is probably Zach Lee.
Yeah, it's Zach Lee. Going out there pitching for Kentucky. So when we first played them at the time, their best pitcher, the guy who had been pitching the best for them in recent weeks, they moved him to Saturday, and Paul Skeens pitched Friday, and they pitched like their second best guy or whatever. I can't even remember his name on the first night. Didn't work out well for them, obviously. But then, the second game, they won the second game, and so people were like, well, maybe people will start doing this against Paul Skeens. Maybe they'll start moving their ace, and which nobody has really done that since Kentucky at all. It's completely different now with Kentucky's pitching. You saw Zach Lee in game 3 for Kentucky for like 3 innings, and you touched Zach up in game 3. You ended up scoring. I think it was like 3 hits, 2 runs on him. He's probably going to be your guy tomorrow night. Like he's going to be your first guy on the mound tomorrow night. He has been their best guy as of late, and he has been their first guy running out there. So I fully expect that it'll be Zach Lee tomorrow night against Paul Skeens, which will be cool because obviously Zach, you'll have to watch yourself go out there and get killed by Paul Skeens. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, outside of that, guys, I'm really confident because of Kentucky's pitching. Like they have a lot of guys that have pitched a lot of innings, but they don't have guys that have the best numbers, if that makes any sense. They've got guys with a ton of experience, but not guys like Paul Skeens, Ty Floyd, Thatcher Hurd, who can just come in and take over a game.
Yeah.
If anybody is that, it's Zach Lee for them. So I like LSU's chances offensively to put up a lot of runs this weekend because of that.
And I'll say this, Reagan, on Friday, I think it's Friday. I think on Saturday, who comes in after Paul is really going to just depend on what the score is. I don't think it's going to be a set thing, but because here's the reason I say that. So let's say Paul Skeens goes out and he still shoves, right? Because we can all assume that Paul Skeens is going to give you 6 to 7, right? He's going to give you 6 to 7 innings. So you got to worry about the 3 to 4 that you got to get after that, or 3 to 2 after that, whatever. So if it's a close ball game, like if it's real tight, like tie ball game, or and Zach Lee's just shoving as well, and LSU offense can't do nothing. Like if it's a tight ball game, who comes in after Skeens? I think you go Hurt. I really believe that, because I think Jay is going to want to put somebody in there that is going to just follow up Skeens' dominance and continue to put zeros up on the board and hope that your offense can come through. Now, if it's like you got 6-7 runs on them and they got 1 or 2 runs, then we probably see somebody like a Gavin Guidry, Nate Ackenhausen, somebody like that. Cooper, I'm not sure exactly. We'll see. But, it's going to be
on his pitch count. You may just keep riding Skeens.
Yeah. I mean, you may ride Skeens the whole way. Who knows? Like they did last. I mean, that's what I hope. I hope he shoves and he gives you 8-9 and you don't even have to worry about it. Right. But I'm saying, let's just think about scenarios here. If you're in a really tight ball game and you got to take and they run Skeens pitch count out, because you better believe that's what they're going to try to do. They're gonna, and that's what Kentucky is good at. They're good at running pitch count up. So they're gonna try to do that against Skeens. You're gonna see teams try to do that, especially really good teams. They're gonna do that against Skeens. So if he has to be yanked after 6 or 7, and you got to worry about the 7th or the 7, 8, 9 or the 8th and 9th, and it's a tight ball game, I think you go to somebody like Thatcher Hurd, because you want to win game 1. Game 1 is the most important game. This is the biggest game for LSU in the Super Regional, is this game tomorrow. You win this game and you set yourself in a really good position. So how far does Skeens go is going to play a major, major factor in games 2 and potentially in games 3 if you have to go to a game 3. Look, if Skeens goes out there and he goes 9, I'm really confident that LSU can win this in 2. If he goes, 6, 6, 7, then that confidence level kind of just goes down a little bit. But ultimately, I'm really, really interested to see, pitching wise, what happens after Skeens. So what happens game 2? Obviously, Ty's going to get the start. Are you going to have Thatcher Hurd available? And Ty's going to do the same thing. He's going to give you 6 or 7. So depending on what the score is, are you going to have Hurd available to come in and shut it down and potentially give you the series win in 2? I don't know. We're going to see. I really hope it's 2 and done, but Kentucky's a real good team, man. And last time they fought us really hard. So I'm interested to see how all things play out pitching wise for LSU. I mean, we talked about Kentucky, but I'm really interested to see how it plays out for LSU as well.
Well, I think it's going to be a great series. I mean, I do think it's going to be another great series. But another thing that's going to play into this is the home crowd advantage. Look, I mean, Alex Box Stadium, is always great. And it was a great environment when Kentucky played there last time. But it's going to be an even better environment.
It's going to be insane.
This time. It's going to be incredible. This is
no available seats.
Yeah. This is going to be the first time since 2017 LSU has had a super regional in Baton Rouge. It's long overdue. Tiger fans have been chomping at the bit for this.
It's Dylan Cruz, Trey Morgan, JT,
exactly.
Hey Beloso, Gavin Dugas. It's their last year.
It's their last series, and there's veteran guys who who are going to be first round draft picks. Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz, all the guys who stuck around like Beloso and Gavin Dugas, who stuck through injury and hard times, and like it's going to be slam packed. And not only is it going to be slam packed, Jay Johnson has purchased the tickets for the entire student section to be completely full. It is going to be slam full. I feel really bad for whoever is going to be in right field for Kentucky. Whoever the Kentucky right fielder is going to have the hardest weekend of their
might as well get like earbuds or something. Just shove them in. Yeah. Just shove them in.
Earplugs. I mean, it's going to be brutal.
You're just going to have to keep up in your head, everything. You're not going to be able to listen to anything,
Jeez. It's going to be an awesome environment. And I think that LSU's home crowd advantage plays a major, major factor into this game. I think it's going to be a lot of pressure, a lot of noise for Kentucky. And I think it's going to be ultimately the offense, the pitching, the noise that LSU combines together to overwhelm Kentucky for a pretty confident and strong super regional win. Zach, I'll go ahead and give you my prediction because I know we need to kind of move towards tools for success.
Yeah.
I predict LSU wins the first 2 games and we're going to Omaha. That's my prediction, and I think they do it pretty confidently and commandingly.
I agree. I think LSU goes 2 and done. Obviously we could be wrong. Kentucky is obviously, going to give LSU their best shot, but I don't know. I think LSU right now is playing at a level like it just feels like this team is destined for Omaha. And if they lose, I'll be honest, it's going to be heartbreaking. It's going to be extremely heartbreaking. It's going to hurt. I think I'll be more upset, not because just, my team didn't make it, my favorite team didn't make it to Omaha. I think I'll be more upset because of guys like, Gavin Dugas and Kay Beloso and Dylan Cruz and Trey Morgan, all those, and, JT, Paul Skeens, but mainly I think JT, Trey Morgan, Dylan Cruz, Gavin Dugas, Kay Beloso. I understand Paul, obviously you're going to miss Paul, but Paul, he's only been here 1 year. The guys that have been here for multiple years and the 2 guys that have really stuck it out in the program and battle with injury and battle through adversity, it's going to break my heart if they lose this super, right? And especially at home, it's going to be it's going to be, it's sad. It's going to be like a movie almost, with just an extremely sad ending. It might make me cry. I might cry just thinking about it right now. Call me, I don't know. But obviously I do believe they're going to win. I think it's going to be 2 and done. I don't think there's going to be any crying this weekend, but who knows? Knock on wood, man. Knock on wood.
No question. We need to enjoy this weekend and these players because they've been great and they've been faithful to LSU, and they've been amazing the last several years. And for them to finally get a super regional in Baton Rouge, it's going to be awesome, and I'm really happy for them, and I really want Omaha for them. So y'all enjoy it this weekend because, people like Dylan Cruz don't come along so often. So I'm pumped for this weekend and excited for them. All right, Zach, I think we need to hit a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get to some of y'all's comments because obviously y'all been commenting. We see it. We'll get to those comments as soon as this break is over, and then we'll give you our tools for success right after this.
5-Star Hero, your intro and outro music for the Tigers Avenue show. They ain't ready for that LSU. Go check out all his other music on all the major platforms. Don't forget to follow him on Instagram at Saints Anthem and at Twitter at One Nation Doty. Don't forget to check out his Facebook page for all his Saints and LSU merchandise. Can't get any better than Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law. Her firm focuses on the needs of the elderly and maintaining their dignity throughout the process. Here for you, here for your family. Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law.
Danny Girl said, "It's okay, Zach. Go cuddle with your emotional support cat, and you will feel better." No, I'll be all right. It's all jokes. I'm not going to be crying this weekend, even if they lose. I'll be upset, and it'll break my heart. But I'm just kidding. I'm not going to cry. Big MIL. Okay, I got to know, what does MIL stand for? Please send it. Maybe I don't want to know.
Yeah, I may not want to know.
I mean, I want to know. He said Tigers are going to sweep. Tyler made a good point, and I think this leads us right into our
name is Angel.
Our second segment. He said, I think it comes down to how good our defense plays, and I wholeheartily agree. Ryan said, breaking news, Zach Lee's cat's name is Angel. Peyton's here with us. Appreciate you joining, Peyton. He said the highest chance of rain tomorrow looks like it's at 3 and 4, 40%. Okay, I'm not as worried. Looks clear Sunday. Ryan said his weather forecast, he's seeing 20% 2 p.m., 40% 3 to 5, so about the same. We all know that isn't always accurate. Carl Dunn's also with us. He says time to go home to Baton Rouge, North, Omaha, or bust. So, yeah, Yeah.
What's that? What's
Million.
that place called? Maybe y'all can. Mill is million. Okay, I mean, I'm fine with that.
Big Mill.
There's a place up there that was keeping up with how many like Jello shots or something like that all the fans bought. Golly, if LSU makes it, the numbers that were on that board are going to be obliterated.
Yeah, I forget what that was at
I
Omaha.
think it's like a pizza place. It's close to Omaha, and they would buy. They would buy shots, and it was like all the money was like going to like a certain charity or something like that. And they had like all the list of the 8 teams that made it to Omaha and like how many of their fans bought them. And like Arkansas won it last year with like 8,000 something. I'm like, man, they're not going to know what to do when a crowd of LSU fans show up to that place. I mean, they're going to have no clue. I mean, they're going to run out. They're going to run out of Jello. They're going to run out of Jello. I mean, it's going to be obliterated. Whatever charity, I would like to know what charity they're donating it to or what cause, because I know they are.
They're going to make a lot of money.
Yeah, LSU's going to donate a lot of money to them folks. So
if they make it, for sure.
Good for them, whoever it is. I can't remember what it is. Maybe one of y'all in the comments remember what it is. Anyways, Zach, tools for success. I think you've already mentioned one of yours. So what is your tools for success? Obviously defense, and what else?
Yeah, Tyler kind of stole one of mine. It's play good defense. Because with this team, you're going to have to. Tommy White charging a bunt down the third base line, he's got to be able to make that play, right? You got to be able to take the outs that they give you, make the plays that they give you. So that I think that's honestly my biggest one, because I have full confidence that the pitchers are going to continue to have success. Paul Skeens, Ty Floyd, Thatcher Hurd, Gavin Guidry, Coop, they've been phenomenal these last few weekends. And so I still am pretty confident that they're going to continue to pitch well. We'll see how the hitting does. I'm still confident that they're going to score runs. How many do they score? Is it in clutch hitting? And that's another one for me. You kind of broke that narrative on Sunday, or was it Monday? It was Monday because it got pushed. You kind of broke that narrative on Monday of not being able to hit whenever guys are in scoring position. You got to be able to continue to do that. You've got to be able to come up with clutch, timely hits. Last weekend, it was Josh Pearson, Hayden Travinsky. Those guys came up big in clutch situations, gave you hits whenever you had guys in scoring position when you had RISP. So who's going to be this weekend? Another thing for me is I'd like to see Tommy kind of come out of – I know he was kind of didn't have the best weekend. I'd like to see Tommy be Tommy again this weekend, because if Tommy's Tommy again and everything else is going right, it could be bad for Kentucky. It could be really bad. So, yeah, I'm excited about this weekend. Defense needs to be phenomenal. The guys out of the pen need to continue to be dominant as they have been these last couple of weekends, and you've got to be able to hit in the clutch. It's postseason baseball, Reagan.
Yeah.
Clutch hits are going to happen now. So you got to come up with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it does go without saying. I think everybody's tool for success against a team like Kentucky is a good defense. I think it's kind of a given. I want the production from the bottom of the lineup to continue. That has brought you a lot of success in the last few games with Thompson and Pearson. Thompson would get walked or he'd get a single, or Pearson would come up and hit a triple, and the lineup would turn over to Cruz, and then he hits a 2-run bomb. Like, production from the bottom of the lineup, 1 through 9. It makes it really easy for LSU to win games when you're getting production like that out of the bottom of the lineup. I mean, just continue to do what you've been doing 1 through 9. It's like you can't pitch around it. You cannot pitch around a spot in LSU's lineup, because all of them can hit it out, and all of them can hit it in a lot of different places. Tommy White puts the ball opposite field more times than not, most likely. Same thing with Trey Morgan. So it is hard to pitch this lineup in specific ways and strategize against them. So 1 through 9, just continue to do what you've been doing. And man, Pearson at the 9 hole, I love it. I absolutely love it. great production out of him last week. And if you get that in this series, I think it's going to be really hard for LSU or for Kentucky to beat LSU and keep up with LSU considering how they play the game. I think you can simply outscore Kentucky if you hit like you have been last weekend. In terms of something else, I like who steps up after Paul Skeens, kind of like you said.
Yeah.
I've seen
this
Zach
past weekend. It was Thatcher. Is it Thatcher again, or is it somebody else?
Sure. I've seen some people want to see Thatcher start the second game. I don't think we need to do that. At this point, if he makes the decision to do that, I would not be upset. Like I'll say that I'm not going to be upset about that decision if he decides to do that. I would rather him just trust his guy, Ty Floyd. He's been your number 2 guy. Give him the ball. Let him do what he's been doing. He's as Jay said, he's undefeated. Like
undefeated.
Let him go out there and win games for you.
Yeah.
Good pitching outside of Paul Skeens and hitting 1 through 9, you're going to win this series. Even with some defensive mishaps, even if you allow some stolen bases or a pass ball here or there, if you have solid pitching outside of Paul Skeens and you're hitting like you did 1 through 9, I think you have nothing to worry about in this series because of the style of play for Kentucky. If you do that outside of game 1, you're going to be really, really successful. So those are my tools for success. So I see you're starring some comments here about Omaha.
Yeah, we got some good ones. So Jason Baker, it's a great question. He said, I know we want to win in 2, but y'all don't think he would save her for possibly game 3. It's got to be, Jason, it's going to be completely situational based. It's going to be completely situational based. If Skeens gives you 9 and then Ty gives you 6 or 7, and you won game 1 with Skeens and you have a lead in game 2, I fully believe Thatcher Hurd is the guy you see.
I would go to Hurd.
I fully believe Thatcher Hurd is the guy you see because you're going to try and win that game in 2. If you get to, if you're getting absolutely hammered, in game 2, like if you're getting beat somehow, just like everything goes to crap and you're getting beat pretty good game 2 and you've won game 1 and you're going to game 3, unless it's a miraculous comeback, there's no sense in throwing Hurd.
No.
Hold Hurd for game 3. Like, I highly doubt, I mentioned it earlier, I highly doubt you see Hurd game 1. But if it's tight, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go to Hurd and then he'd be able to come back later in the series.
Yeah, it's just that important to close the game 1 out.
Exactly. So, Jason, that's a great question, but it's going to be strictly situational based. Ryan said all cylinders need to click for sure. Odena Girl said everybody hit that like button. Yeah, she's probably the lone girl that has liked it. So please hit that like button. I lied. For some reason on our thing up here, it shows 1, but if you go and actually look down at YouTube over here to my right, we actually have 9 likes. So if you're on here and you have not yet hit the like button, please do so. If you're on Facebook, on YouTube, please hit the like button. Please do us a huge favor. Share the post, share the video. It would mean a lot to us. We appreciate all of y'all. It's been fun here. I'm excited for this weekend. And, man, I love talking LSU baseball. I got to be honest, Reagan, I think our podcast is one of the best at doing it. There's a lot of great podcasts out there. Obviously, Blake does a good job. 60-foot, 6-inch LSU.
I was about to say, we should have had Demouy on to talk a little pitching. We should have brought him on.
If we make Omaha,
bring Demouy.
We're bringing Demouy on. Obviously, Demouy's podcast is phenomenal. Musso, Matthew, who we've brought on before, he does a phenomenal. Like, there's a lot of good ones. But I gotta say, I think we're one of the best, Reagan. I believe it.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Robert said the name of the place is called Rocco.
That's right. You're right.
Jello Shot Challenge. He also said they donate to the winners' college food banks.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Thatcher Hurd move.
Ryan said, I hit the like button so hard I cracked my phone screen. I don't know if he's telling the truth. Like, is that true? Or are you just joking? Like, If you do, wow, you cracked your phone screen for us, and we appreciate it, Ryan.
Killer hand strength there, brother.
For real,
Jeez.
dang. You might need a pitch for LSU or something. Good grief.
At baseball and basketball.
Dana Girl said, agreed. Tigers Avenue is the best at baseball and basketball, in my opinion. Oh, okay. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. The Georgia girl, we appreciate that. He said,
sure.
I would rather talk baseball this time of year. Anyways, yeah, I mean, it's LSU baseball. Why not?
Yeah, you want to be playing at this time of year. I mean, last year we were done.
Last year we were done. Exactly. So we want to be playing this time of year. All right, Reagan. I think we need to give our predictions now for the rest of the Super Regionals. Obviously, as we've already said, we both believe LSU is going to take the Super in 2. So let's go ahead, Reagan. Let's look at what we got here for the rest of the Super Regionals and kind of give some predictions, Reagan.
Sure. I mean, obviously, I think we'll take some advantages that we have as of right now. I mean,
yeah, a little
Duke
bit.
has won game
it's
one.
It's not going to change my picks.
Duke and TCU have won game 1. So I'll start from the left side of the bracket and work it down so we can just go in that order. Wake Forest, Alabama. I really think that Alabama gives Wake Forest a great series. I think they really challenge Wake Forest. I think they surprise some people. I think they maybe even take a game in that series. But ultimately, I do think that Wake Forest will come out of that Super Regional to play in Omaha. Texas, Stanford. Man, Texas was playing great baseball last weekend. I'm taking Texas over Stanford in that Super. LSU, Kentucky, you know my prediction. I'm taking the Tigers all day, baby. Southern Miss, Tennessee. Give me Southern Miss in Hattiesburg all day, every day. Okay. Golden Eagles, fly, Eagle, fly. Give me the Golden Eagles from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And then based on what I've seen, correct me if I'm wrong, we will be facing our first game
the winner
in
of
Omaha,
that regional.
Winner of that regional.
As you can see right there, it's lined up there on the
bracket. So Carolina, Florida. I'm going to take Florida in that one. I would not be surprised if Carolina won that game. I think that's going to be a really tight played Super Regional, but I'm going to take Florida. Give me Duke. Shout out, by the way, to former LSU Tiger Gio DiGiacomo, starting center fielder for the Duke Blue Devils. Been playing great as of late.
Scored the winning run today.
Indeed, he did. So shout out to Gio. Give me the Duke Blue Devils. Man, this one's tough because Oral Roberts played dang good, and I'm going to take him. I'm going to take Oral Roberts over the Eugene, Oregon Ducks. And last and finally, TCU is just hot. Give me the Horned Frogs. Unfortunately, in Fort Worth over Indiana State. Those are my 8 for Omaha. I'm right and everybody else is wrong.
Okay. I'll go backwards since you start at the top, and I'll go backwards. Again, we have a little bit of advantage here, but I have to be honest. I had already decided to pick TCU and Duke.
Maybe. It's okay.
So I'm sorry, guys. I know they've already got the lead in the
no reason to cry. It's okay, baby. He's not bothering me.
TC, are you trying to be muted, Reagan? I think Reagan thought he was muted and he was trying to tell his wife that it's okay that Luca is crying. Now you actually are muted. Okay, no, you're back.
My bad.
Reagan's over here. It's okay. That was hilarious. Okay, back to my picks as Reagan remutes himself. I am picking TCU regardless. I had them picked regardless of their win today. I'm going with Oregon over Oral Roberts. Oregon's been playing really good lately. Obviously, they won the Pac-12 tournament. I also had picked Duke over Virginia before today, so that's looking good for me. I am going with Florida as well, so we agree there. I also agree with you with Southern Miss. I do think that the Golden Eagles defeat the Volunteers. I really hope that they do, mainly because I hate Tennessee in SEC in baseball. but I want the rematch with Southern Miss. So it's a win-win for me both ways. Like if Southern Miss wins, I get the rematch that I want, and Tennessee loses. So it's phenomenal. We already picked LSU. Obviously, LSU in 2 is my prediction. I disagree with you. I think Stanford wins their super against Texas. I understand Texas is playing great right now, but listen, that dude, the AC or the Pac-12 pitcher of the year, whatever his name is, that tall, lanky, white dude.
He ain't gonna be pitching. He's got Tommy Johns on this past week for pitching too many gosh dog pitches this past
He ain't got
week.
Tommy Johns. You lying?
Tommy Johns. No, I'm kidding.
No, you lying, bro. He's pitching, bro. That dude threw almost 200 pitches in a weekend. That dude got a rubber arm and he's their ace. It's insane. So give me Stanford and give me Alabama. Alabama, as Blake likes to say. I can't remember. I want to say it was Brent Musburger that does that on CBS. I can't remember.
Or Vern
Lundquist. Vern Lundquist. Yeah.
Oh,
Alabama.
Look, if Alabama wins that regional, they're hiring that guy. He's got the job.
Give me Alabama, bro. I don't know why. I got a feeling, as Blake did.
Well, that number 1 seed never wins it, so I'm
they
there.
Never win it. I think this is where it ends. For them, and the streak of the number 1 not making it, not winning the championship, continues. So yeah, I've got Alabama, I've got Stanford, I've got LSU, I've got Southern Miss, Florida, Duke, Oregon, and TCU. Setting up a rematch for LSU against Southern Miss from the regional last year.
I want that so bad. I want it so bad.
I do. Let's see what all these guys are picking.
Everybody's got a lot of their predictions in here.
All the rest of y'all that haven't done it already, go ahead, send your predictions. We'll read them out loud. Danny Girl's in here. She's got Bama as well. She's got Texas, LSU. She's going Tennessee over Southern Miss. Florida over South Carolina, Duke over Virginia, Oral Roberts over
half
Oregon.
The field. She's got SEC there. Half the field.
I'm good with it. I mean, represent
SEC takeover.
Ryan's got Wake Forest. He's got Texas. He's got LSU. He's got Southern Miss, Florida, Duke, Oral Roberts, and TCU. And his Peyton's in here. He said Wake Forest, Texas, LSU, Southern Miss, South Carolina. I think, is that the first South Carolina I've seen? Yes.
I believe it is, yeah.
He's the first one to pick South Carolina. Duke, Oral Roberts. A lot of people picking Oral Roberts. I don't know.
They were a 4 seed. They were a 4 seed and came out and dominated that Oklahoma State region.
Yeah, I think that the Cinderella story runs out for them. I think Oregon's been hot. I think Oregon takes it. We're going to find out tonight who gets game 1 because that game has started. It's in the second already, still 0-0. Ryan said I can see Stanford and Oregon winning as well. So we'll see. We'll see how it shapes up, Reagan.
You say what now?
I said we'll see how it all shapes up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This is one of the best weekends in postseason baseball. Who gets to go to Omaha? It's a fantastic weekend in baseball, and LSU gets to be right at the dead center of it, hosting a super. You gotta love it, and man, I think it's gonna be a fun weekend of baseball. I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, Reagan. Well, I think that about wraps up our show. Let's go ahead. Let's take one more break, and then when we come back, we will wrap it up and call it quits.
Make sure you go follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Tigers Avenue, for daily updates on the show and all things LSU sports. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to click off and hit that subscribe button at Tigers Avenue. We broadcast all of our shows live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
Guys,
I try. I guess it's just me in here. There we go.
There we go. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all joining in tonight. It's been a fantastic show. Man, really looking forward to this weekend in the box Super Regionals. I don't know if y'all noticed or not, but we got this real new fancy outline here, real cool graphic. Y'all can thank Zach for that. I don't do nothing like that. I'm not creative in the slightest. So whenever you see new things like this, it ain't me. You can thank Zach for that. This on-air neon light thing looks great. Awesome stuff. Appreciate you,
You're
Zach.
welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. appreciate all y'all coming in and giving your takes on this weekend. It's going to be a great weekend, and I'm really looking forward to it. I really do think that LSU takes care of business this weekend. Yes, I know, Ryan, my hat does look blue. I hate that. Looks like a royal blue, but I promise you it's purple. This ring light probably doesn't help that much. But Tigers win into this weekend. I'm calling it right now. Let's book your tickets, book your hotels, get ready to go to Omaha. I'm calling it, Zach. I'm just calling it as it is. I see it. I call it. We will be in Omaha come the 16th of June. The Tigers will be playing in Omaha, Nebraska. Can't stinking wait. Y'all have a great night. It's been a great show. We'll see you next time here in the Tigers Avenue. 5-Star Hero, take us out. Peace.
Who that 5-star? And the LSU Tigers, LSU Tigers.